What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Master Wing channel. Thank you for tuning in. As always, this is our favorite screen. We are at the card selection screen of the Monster Couch Digital app, trying to win a game of Oceania. And what immediately sticks out to me is this dirty green heron. Trade one wild food for any other wild food from the supply. Is the green heron now a better bird? Why not trade in all those rats and fish and worms for nectar? I'm going to try it. And then the mountain chickadee is a personal favorite just because it's base game, great starter bird material. I have the South Island robin selected. It's a bowl nest for that first end-around goal. And I'm contemplating another personal favorite, the greater roadrunner. One of those underrated birds that has paid off for me in the past. I'm wondering if we should be greedy here. We do get to go first. I'm going to grab the rough in the tray. And I'm just debating in my head where I should put this South Island robin. We may be too greedy here, but Oceania, sometimes you can get away with being greedy. With those extra cards, you can make use of them. So I think I'm going to keep 4 cards here and see how it goes with Enclosure Builder bonus card. Yeah, I think I'm going to let the Spotted Owl go and try to get this rough going. And starting now, I'm going to speed up the footage so you can enjoy this video over some breakfast or maybe a cup of tea. Just a second here. All right, so getting to go first. We immediately grab the rough. Sometimes I have trouble with the rough getting down in the first round because in that first round I'm trying to establish 2, 3, probably 4 birds in Oceania, and I don't always have that extra turn or two to get those extra cards under the rough. So we'll try to make do of the rough, but that's not going to be my first priority. I'm going to be trying to get these birds established in that first slot. My opponent plays Anna's hummingbird. I'd love to see it. That's going to help us out, I assume. The question is, are they dedicated to the hummingbird? So I do something weird here. I start out with my first bird being in the grassland. So if the previous player has a worm in their personal supply, cash 1 from the general supply. So it doesn't help me get any foods, but I know I'm going to lay eggs on a bowl nest. And the chickadee would go nicely in the forest if I play that one bird. I could have played the robin, but then I need to lay eggs and then get the chickadee down. So I just go ahead and throw the robin down, turn 2 or 3 in the grassland, and then my opponent comes back with song sparrow, another bowl nest bird. So it doesn't look like we're going to win this end of round goal, and I don't know if the robin's going to pay off or not. I thought maybe it could build up that miniature grassland, maybe get me 3 points instead of 2, but we will have to wait and see if my opponent has a worm in their supply. Hummingbird gets activated. Looks like they grabbed the nectar, so we took the worm. And I like our tempo here. That greedy start of carrying 4 birds at the beginning may come back to bite me. I'm tempted by the greater roadrunner, but that may be a mistake. We'll see. So my opponent is Bot Nemo. Probably mispronouncing that, but I did look him up on Discord, and he is over 1200 rank, which usually means, in my opinion, you're pretty good at the game. So this could be a tough one. Obviously, with the Song Sparrow, he's using that migration power. I'm just curious to see whether he sticks between grassland, wetland, or if he's going to pivot and have a forest bird eventually. It's definitely fine with us if the hummingbird keeps getting activated. We are gonna, looks like, go with the green heron, lay eggs, and then, even though I'm not gonna tuck this roadrunner, probably throw down the rough. think in the long run, the rough may be clutch. I think I said earlier in this video that sometimes I have trouble getting those 3 extra tucks in round 1 with the rough, because unless you're just straight digging, you normally don't have a ton of cards in your hand for the rough in round 1. That's just my personal struggle. But check out what we grab. One of my soon-to-be favorites is the masked lapwing. You probably know what that does, but it resets the bird feeder and gives you an instant bird feeder boost with the food types that you collect. You get 1 of each type. And the hooded crow, honestly, it's similar to the rough, but that could be a nice counter to my opponent's grassland if we see that they're going to stick to this grassland. And they played the red-headed woodpecker. I guess we missed that. So it does look like they're sticking to the grassland, and that makes me want to keep the hooded crow as well. Interesting. I respect it. I was hoping, we were kind of delaying to lay eggs. I was hoping maybe this South Island robin would get a cache. We've been trying out all the Oceania birds, obviously, but they can't all be great. And I'm thinking maybe in hindsight, South Island robin is not my first choice. Maybe I just stick with the chickadee, or I keep an extra food and put the roadrunner in its spot instead. I don't know. Just not sure my opponent is going to have a bunch of worms in his supply. It looks like they've done a pretty good job of avoiding getting worms for this South Island robin. And last turn of the round, we definitely want to spend our nectar. They are going to win the end-of-round goal with 2 bowl nests. The rough does give me an enclosure builder. I'm just debating. I don't think I want to play the lapwing right now, because if I get nectar, it gets burned. And the hooded crow I want to keep in the rough. I don't really want to tuck the roadrunner either. So I'm really just getting it down, hoping that teal power pays off later. We'll see. Could be some misplays there. I think that's just the result of a greedy hand, and I didn't dig a bunch of cards. Usually when I get the rough, maybe I'll just throw it in the wetlands and then just start digging, but we didn't do a lot of digging this time. And check out what's in the tray. My opponent, the last turn, looks like they drew cards here, and the European bee eater would be another food-gaining bird in their grassland. So I'm assuming they're going to grab the bee eater, and then, okay, they did, and that kind of solidifies that they're going to stick to this grassland approach and makes me want to play the hooded crow. And number 2, I need to look for some more grassland counters. And they get to go first, round 2. Of course, with migrating birds, you got to take that extra time to plan out your turns. You don't want to lock it in unnecessarily, but then at the same time, you also want to keep building out your board and not just, revolving your whole game around, say, a song sparrow or a Lincoln sparrow. Sometimes if you're so focused on the migration, you're not really scoring as many points. Looks like they're utilizing it very well. Looks like they'll grab the food necessary probably for that bee eater. And I kind of like what's in the tray right now, the Swainson's hawk and the Australian ibis. The Australian ibis is an automatic tuck. I have to start looking at the ibis as a point scorer, because there's always birds in the discard pile. Pretty much. I haven't encountered a time when there's not a bird in the discard pile yet. So maybe if I played it in my first turn, maybe we'd have a struggle with that. But I don't know. I used to look at it as a way to draw cards for me to play, but Normally the birds I'm drawing aren't the right ones I want to play. So just for me personally, I have to start thinking of the ibis as just a tucker, an automatic tucker. And so we only have one egg left. I'm debating which bird I want to put down before I lay eggs. And I could gain food and then play Roadrunner and lay eggs, but I kind of just want the food now. So we go with the masked lapwing. And the more and more I watch this game, this Roadrunner is just sitting there in my hand, and it could have been a tuck. So I'm thinking I'm going to eventually ditch that and maybe go with a more consistent predator. Not much more consistent, but the Swainson's Hawk does give me slightly better chances for a tuck. And then we'll throw down the ibis and the hooded crow. I don't know if we can get all of those in round 2, but we're going to try. I definitely want to get the hooded crow in, because that just makes my opponent maybe second guess those lay eggs turns, because those I'm taking a point off that. Of course, we do need to get some extra cards though for the ruff and the hooded crow. So 4 turns left. I'm thinking, what'd my opponent do? There's that bee eater. They've got the song sparrow in the wetlands, so they'll probably draw cards. I didn't see if they had a worm in their supply. We finally got a cache on that South Island robin, and here we go. Big hooded crow energy. I don't know if it's going to stop my opponent, but it may slow him down a little bit from building out that grassland and going super heavy. I think if they had a tuck and draw bird or a killdeer or a white stork, they'd pretty much be set for the game. He's got a pretty scary grassland when you can obtain 2 or 3 food each turn. And I think we're content with the birds we have. We talked about digging for some extra cards for the ruff and hooded crow. They are going to pay off, but I haven't done much digging this game, and I think I'm just going to play ibis, Swainson's Hawk eventually, and start migrating my game towards a grassland engine. Let's see. They drew birds, as expected. We're really not doing very well on enclosure builder. Don't see any ground nest birds in sight, so this may be the time to dig. And we go ahead and spin the extra egg. Hey, that is the counter I am talking about. Bronzed cowbird, and check out this green heron doing work. Probably talking too much about the green heron, but the base game, you just hardly ever play that bird. I mean, who cares if you trade a fish for a rat or a worm for a seed? I mean, in the base game, I just didn't see its utilization much. And now, I'm trading it in for nectar. I'm finding the green heron got better in the Oceania expansion. I think this bronzed cowbird now takes priority over the ibis and the Swainson's Hawk. We need to get that down as soon as possible. And then we can go ahead and tuck, let's see, the ruddy duck. I think I got the royal spoonbill. And big Roadrunner isn't going to see the screen today. I don't think... We kept holding on to him, and he's a 3 food cost bird, but the ibis is a guaranteed tuck, and the Roadrunner just isn't. Maybe if I had a bonus card that matched him, I'd keep him, but we're moving on. You got to change strategies sometimes in Wingspan, right? So, man, Hooded Crow counts the action cubes on my opponent's grassland. The bronzed cowbird takes an egg off his grassland. And then, of course, the ruff is finally going to get some tucks. We don't have many engine running birds, But those three birds between the pink and the two teals, we may have enough to counter and just add to our score a little bit. My opponent did play that wagtail. I'm sure you've seen some videos of the Willy Wagtail where you can draw cards in the grassland and the forest. It's a pretty good Oceania bird. I think he can only grab star nests and bowl nests though, so that's the one caveat there. And the spoonbill, the beloved roadrunner, and I think the bobolink is still a no-go. And a magpie, probably too late in the game, I think, to only activate twice. We'll see. We will see. But every time they're activating their grassland, you gotta think I'm taking 2 points away with a hooded crow and a cowbird. So we get to go first again in round 3. The lesser frigate bird is just staring at me. I take the collared dove really just as a denial. I think that could be a bad fifth bird for me since he's got the bee eater and the hummingbird. Just in case. The Eurasian collared dove, I've seen some dirty plays with the collared dove, so I don't think we're gonna play it, but who knows. So we got birds in the grassland as the round 3 goal. I'm thinking we can finally get this ibis down, and even though it's not a flashy bird, maybe Swainson's hawk, and then start maybe spamming eggs there at the end. I'd also like to get that 9-point frigate bird down and see where we land. I just don't think I can keep digging too many more times without just wasting turns. I've already got 2 or 3 cards in my hand that I can discard, so I don't know. I think at this point we kind of just play what we got. And we gain food, we get a consistent chickadee cache, and it's ibis time. I've said this several times during the video, but you know, the house finch, the barn swallow, the purple martin, some of those old school tuck and draw birds, you had to have that extra card. And with the ibis, you don't. You just get a tuck no matter what, pretty much, or you can keep it. So at first, I didn't think it was that good a bird, but when it's an automatic point every time, I mean, I think this is a decent grassland and wetland bird. Let me know what you think about the Australian ibis. Of course, you have those noisy miners out there, the galas, those predators that cache and tuck and score 2 points per activation. But I'm not going to complain. We just haven't found a ton. And my opponent, I mean, more respect to him. He's using that song sparrow pretty well. He's got a bunch of cards. He's got significant food. And he's scoring now 4 points with eggs and gaining 2 or 3 food. I'm not sure if this is the recipe for a win. But we're hanging in there. I think after we get some free eggs with the cowbird and tucks with the hooded crow, and the rough, hopefully we get another 6 tucks by the end of the game. It's looking like a close game, kind of back and forth. I think we're going to suck at our bonus cards, though. I don't know. Maybe we can find one of those Oceania birds, like the kiwi or the ryebill, maybe. Can't remember, but some of those bonus card birds let you discard a bonus card that you have. So we will look out for that for sure. Maybe the ibis can pick it up out of the discard pile. We'll see. My opponent plays white-faced heron. I like that predator. You know, you always wonder if they have if that's a 2-point falcon or a rodentologist bonus card, but I can't imagine them drawing cards too many more times. With only 8 turns left, I'm thinking my opponent is needing to play big point bombs because I'm taking 2 points off their egg engine. So we'll look out for the bird bombs there for sure. As for me, 3 turns left, only have 1 fish. The debate is, do we try to get this frigate bird down, or do we get 5 birds in the grassland? And I think we do need to get that 5th bird just to tie this end around. Unfortunately, I don't think the magpie is the move. It's a negative play to get it down. And my opponent only has 1 action cube on the grassland, so I'm thinking Swainson's Hawk may edge it out a little bit. Problem is right now I don't have the food for the Swainson's Hawk, so I think we have to gain food one more time here. I think it's worth it to tie the end of round goal. And there's that cowbird finally getting an extra egg for us. We take those. I've said this in a previous video, but I haven't found myself running out of egg space many times in the Oceania expansion. Maybe we're just not that good, but we did. It looks like we got a extra food, maybe from the hummingbird. I wasn't paying attention, but maybe we did a little wait and see approach, and we get to play this Swainson's Hawk. Of course, getting that 5th bird in the grassland. I think hummingbirds are becoming a little bit better, in my opinion, in Oceania on the sharing category, because you know, we've utilized the nightingale and the blue throat in the past, where you can just select exactly what you want in the European expansion. And you know, now, you know, if you have a nightingale and you take a nectar, exactly what you need, of course your opponent is getting a nectar, and a hummingbird allows you to share. But if there's only 1 nectar in the bird feeder, maybe that gives you a slight edge on the sharing side, because you get the nectar. You get the nectar, and then your opponent would have to get a regular food. So maybe a little debate there, but I think hummingbirds became a little bit better. There's so many sharing birds in Oceania. Maybe that's another video for another time. Some of those cockatoos and those forest birds, seems like everybody gains something, or everybody gets a nectar. And it's just how Wingspan is. Sometimes it's a collaborative, fun game, but when you're in the competitive scene, you're always looking for that extra edge, right? So let me know what you think your sharing preference is. I'm still debating and almost researching this sharing aspect of Oceania. Should I avoid them? Are they situational? Do we only activate them once or twice a game? Etc. And here we go, last turn of round 3, and good old Swainson's is not doing it for us. And burrowing owl or white-backed woodpecker, we tuck those. South Island robin, we tried, and it's just not that power bird we were wanting. We are winning the nectar battle, and I like that. That's one thing you can kind of take away on a positive note. When the other player has maxed out a habitat, it just sets that bar of how much nectar you need to win. So now we can focus our nectar efforts on the wetlands and the forest. Although with only 5 turns left in the game, check it out here. Let's do our teals. I don't want to miss our teal powers. We'll take 3 from the rough, and we're getting 2 from the hooded crow. That's fine. Sweet. All right. So we're doing okay. With only 5 turns left in the game, we're not going to stray too far from our grassland. It's not a powerhouse grassland. I think we were sitting at 80-something points. I wonder if that Plains Wanderer got a good bonus card, because we are going to get a 0 for that one probably. The beginning of round 4, we could take a draw cards action, but we do have, 3 or 4 cards extra that we can tuck with the Hooded Crow or the Ruff. There's nectar in the tray. I'm hoping for a hummingbird activation, and we get it. So there's that hummingbird, and I know my opponent is grassland focused, and I've won many games. Just hummingbird, white stork, bee eater. I get it, but at the end of the game, like, that helped me huge. I could have only scored 1 point with the mountain chickadee gaining food for this frigate bird, or we just stay patient and wait for the hummingbird to activate, and now I can have a 7-point turn playing the frigate bird basically for free, just kind of collecting resources in the background. So easy to say, hindsight, and my opponent, honestly, I don't remember the final score. He could beat me, but it's just that constant battle between sharing and not sharing. I'm interested to hear of any rules that you have or a mentality that you have for sharing, because we are not masters of Wingspan. We're trying to be, and we're just on the good receiving end of a hummingbird today. So we've got 9 tucks under the Ruff and the Crow. I'm thinking the Ibis can have 2 or 3 more tucks. And we've got plenty of food to play birds. Unless my opponent has maybe a Benelli's. Okay, so here's where they unload some of their cards. They've got a double play Vireo and European Turtle Dove. And the wild card here is probably the bonus points, because they've got 3 bonus cards to R1. That's an offer. Thinking we have to play. Okay. Let's go, Master Wing. Are we doing the double play in the forest for the nectar battle? We are. So titmouse, little owl. I like it. I forgot our in-game strategy. We did add more cavity nests with that play. So I think that was only a 4-point play initially, the titmouse and the little owl, but if we can max out those eggs, we can maybe steal this end-around goal, or at least make it competitive. I didn't look too quickly. Let's see. My opponent has a lot of cavity nests too, so that may be nothing. The one thing I'm hoping for is another food resource so we can get this frigate bird down. And I think the Swainson's Hawk was finally successful for me that time. This has been kind of a play what you got game. And I'm interested to see what my opponent plays. Of course, he played the double play with the Turtle Dove. He had so many cards and quite a bit of food. Kind of nervous about what else they have. You kind of save those big bird bombs for the end. We're only sitting at 80 points, people, with 2 turns left. We'll get a few extra tucks. I'm hoping to break 100. This could be ugly. Oh, they played a Chiff-Chaff? When did they play a Chiff-Chaff? I just wasn't paying attention, or they just did that. They couldn't have just done that. I missed the Chiff-Chaff play. So he's maybe late game transitioning to wetlands. Yeah. And then that white-faced heron and the gray teal. So more power to him. I'm all about a late game pivot. Swainson's successful. And either of those birds, do I care? Probably not. So they've got 1 more free space for their cavity nest to put them either tied or for the lead. I mean, it's probably a good strategy to move away from their grassland, because I was taking 2 points off of it just about every time. I don't even know what the gray teal power does. I think you draw from the deck, maybe, And if it's a wetland bird, you can keep it or tuck it. Something like that. This just feels like a close game. It's not miraculous, but sometimes that's how Wingspan is. You don't always have the easy path to success here. I don't think I have to reinvent the wheel. I think we just keep laying eggs and scoring that consistent 5 points. All right, last turn of the game. My opponent has been tucking, and let's see. Come on, Swainsons. Tuck Benelli's. Come on, man. Hey, these teals, you can say what you want, but they're helping me out here. We only got one tuck with the hooded crow, and the rough, I'm thinking, paid off in the end. We held onto that roadrunner, but we did secure that cavity nest. End of round goal, team. And one thing we did do well was stay competitive with the nectar battle. I thought we might lose all of them, but we didn't. Here's the final scores. And pretty close on bird points there. Oh, 14-point differential on the bonus cards. We make up a little ground on the eggs and the end of round goals. Do we have enough tucks? I'm thinking the teals are going to come through. And the Ibis 102.96. Not a super high scoring game for Oceania, but we pulled it out, guys. We just kind of played what we had there, and that grassland turned out okay. If you haven't liked or subscribed, I have a sick Predator game coming up. It's in the backlog. It's going to be uploaded soon. Thank you for watching this far. Please like or subscribe, and tell me what you think about those sharing powers. And we kind of had a grassland killer there for a little bit. Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace.